So AOC and Jill Stein have been feuding. Jill Stein, of course, being the nominee for the Green Party. And in the midst of this feud, she has now gone on The Breakfast Club and had pretty heated exchange with Democrat partisan Angela Rye. Let's take a listen to a little bit of how that went.
And it is the talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Women of color as parroting talking points instead of us looking at basic math. The one thing that AOC has done that you haven't is win some election. How many voting members in the United States House of Representatives, Republican, Democrat, and Independent? How many total?
How many total are there? What is it? 600 some?
No, it's 435.
Well, I would like to respond. Yeah. This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaming.
Let me just No. What you're not going to say is that I'm ever parodying anything at the hands of white supremacy. This is something that's very different. This is me asking you, again, it's a binary choice in an election.
I'm just pointing out that these are the talking points.
No,
these are the same talking points that the DNC
I didn't get my talking
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research. And sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election.
All right, so a lot to say about that piece. I also want to show you, those were some of the pieces that were being shared by liberals who are on the... Yeah, I mean, listen, you should know how many members of Congress there are. That is legitimately embarrassing. The piece that Dr. Jill Stein herself wanted to share, let me go ahead and show you now, where she talks more about, her point of view and why she believes that you should vote for the Green Party. Let's take a listen.
Every vote cast for our campaign is a vote against genocide. It is a shot across the bow of the endless war machine to say that we, the people, are getting organized. We are moving forward. We are growing. We have organization and infrastructure that we have never had before. We've never been able to break through like we are now, because Greens have been ahead of the curve on a lot of things like climate change, on reparations, on healthcare as a human right.
And I do think that is one of the most compelling arguments you can make for the Green Party is, number one, Trump and Kamala Harris, like Kamala Harris is vice president to Joe Biden, both of them are pro-genocide. So as just like a moral issue, there are certainly a significant number of people, especially Muslim Americans, who just say, I can't support that. I don't care if you are lesser evil, whatever, I just can't support it. And then the other piece that I think is her most compelling argument is like, listen, we, by being out there as a sort of protest party, we have pushed the conversation on this set of issues around climate change, around reparations, around, sort of pushing the Overton window of what can be discussed in American politics. And I think that's legitimate. I think there is a real case to be made for that. To get back to a little bit of the AOC part, here's part of the argument she's been making against Jill Stein. She says, nobody needs talking points to know Jill Stein hasn't won so much as a bingo game. If you actually give a damn about people you organize, build power and infrastructure, and win. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, also going in on Jill Stein for some reason at this point. He says, if you've ever been annoyed by politicians who only show up at election time, then you've got to be annoyed with Dr. Jill Stein. She claims to be an unconventional alternative, but she's nauseatingly conventional. She shows up every 4 years making lavish promises, but has no record of producing anything except Republican victories. Hard pass. And the last thing I'll share with you, which could be a key to why you see, Democratic attacks against Jill Stein, not just from Keith Ellison and AOC, but from others as well at this point in time. Let's put this up on the screen. Polling suggests that she's doing quite well among Muslim American voters. This is from the Council on American Islamic Relations. It shows her, this is Yashar Ali who is tweeting this, shows her getting a solid share of their votes in key battleground states. So in Arizona, you've got Jill Stein actually leading the field among Muslim voters, 35%. Also in Michigan, critically, 40% she's winning among Muslim voters. Pennsylvania, 25%. Wisconsin, 44%. Again, that's another state where she actually leads the field among Muslim voters. So, as a percent of the population, you're talking about a relatively small slice, but small slice could make a difference in some of these key states. Saagar?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know exactly what, we were talking about the motivation here.
Yeah.
Keith Ellison and AOC. I mean, the problem for AOC and Keith Ellison is that they're the exact people who rose up against this party line talk and now are enforcers of it. So in my opinion, you actually have less credibility. So like the people who attack Jill Stein, who are just Democratic apparatchiks, I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, you know, it's like you people believe that the party is the solution to everything. But AOC, you know, went on the DNC stage and said Kamala was working tirelessly for a ceasefire, as in trying to like fool Gaza voters into voting for that. I'm like, that's bullshit. You know, like you are trying to message to people incorrectly and lie to them. And Jill Stein is telling them the truth. I don't think there's, or at least the truth in the way that they believe it. And that's something that, let's take the election out of it, AOC would probably be on Jill Stein's side if there was no Kamala, there was no Trump, or there was no election. Like, let's say this was happening in 2021. I'm not so sure that she takes the current posture that she is right now. And the stakes weren't as different on other issues. So that's where I kind of have an issue, where, you know, you previously ran against the system, now you're a systemic enforcer, and you're actively using your old image as a revolutionary to go after a Jill Stein and a third party. I think that's wrong. Yeah.
I think that at this point, I mean, I think we need to see AOC has decided that she is going to try to work within the system, right?
Yeah.
That's her political, she previously had a different political theory of change, which was much more adversarial, and she does not hold that theory of political change anymore. At least she does not act on that theory of political change. So I guess I don't see her that different from any other like Democratic Party apparatchik. She is a Democratic Party partisan.
But you and I follow this day to day.
Oh, yeah.
The average person is not going to do
Yeah.
this.
I mean, I guess what I would say is a few things. Number one, I don't think that this is I don't think this is 4D chess from AOC. I don't think this is an intelligent strategy, because people who have very genuine, extremely legitimate moral concerns about voting for a candidate who supported genocide, like if you're just yelling at them and shaming them and how could you, and they're just, you know, Jill Stein's an idiot, et cetera, like, I don't think that that's an effective pitch. I think you're more likely to harden them against the Democratic Party or harden their commitment to voting Green parties. So on efficacy, I think it's foolish. There's something about this conversation that I've been thinking about that really kind of drives me crazy on both sides, which for Dr. Jill Stein, like I understand her position too. She's trying to win votes for the Green Party, and that's her job. And she's, you know, she's gonna go out there and make her case and make the most compelling case she can as well. But there's a discourse around this that assumes that there is a good answer to this question, and that's like, there is one answer, either the right thing to do as a lefty is to vote for Kamala Harris, or the right thing to do as a lefty is to vote for the Green Party. There's a lot of certainty and a lot of like moral outrage around this. And I think it is more likely that there just is no good answer here. Like, you're kind of checkmated. That's how I feel. Like, on the one hand, I think there are a lot of very compelling and troubling reasons why I do not want to see Donald Trump back in the White House. I think those reasons have been on full display over the past number of weeks. I think he would be worse on Israel, even if that is like the narrow lens of your focus. I think there's something powerful in like the French model of this sort of like right-wing coalition, or you could say anti-fascist coalition that came together to defeat the right-wing party there. But ultimately also you're asking people to like do something that is morally very difficult and that doesn't move you away from the fundamental dynamics of lesser evil voting over, you know, a long period of time. But it also is not clear to me that a vote for the Green Party is any sort of a magic bullet either, like a silver bullet either. Because the point of, look, you have been running this strategy for a number of years and it hasn't disrupted the duopoly. Like, the result of you getting a significant number of votes in 2016 was the Democratic Party crushing the left and moving further to the right. So it's not like that strategy has paid off either. So I think in these like electoral calculations, in some ways, it's a misplaced focus. The better place to focus is probably on, you know, building a powerful labor movement and those sort of, you know, democratic organizing, because I don't think either one of the answers to the narrow electoral question are particularly like the answer or a good answer.
Well, yeah, fair. But then it's about strategy too. I think Jill Stein was the one operating in the way that she's supposed to, which is, I'm trying to win votes. The AOC one is a negative one of like, no, you shouldn't because this is, and in general, I think that comes back to voter shaming.
Yeah,
I think voter shaming
agree.
is bad. I think especially in a democratic
I think
system.
it's bad, and I think it's counterproductive.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah.
But there is also a lot of voter shaming that goes in the other direction, not from Jill Stein, but of people who are weighing this calculation and in the balance want to vote for Kamala Harris. There is a lot of voter shaming at them as well.
Well, fair
Yeah.
enough. Well, that's kind of stupid too.
Yeah.
Look, shaming people because of how they vote is dumb, very counterproductive, and historically does not work. It makes people dig in even more. And in general, you're just not, somebody asked a question recently and they were like, should news commentators have to disclose who they vote for? And it actually made me realize, I'm like, who you vote for actually does not tell you all that much interesting stuff about you. For example, if Dick Cheney is voting for Kamala and AOC is voting for Kamala, or do those two things give you like an accurate representation of their like fulsome views? I mean, some people could say yes, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think actually it is. So instead, you need to look at issues and various reasons why, let's say Muslim people are going to be voting for Jill Stein. You better be making a pretty damn good case. And if the case is telling them a lie, Kamala's working tirelessly for a ceasefire, instead of, hey, Trump will be way worse on Israel. I mean, that's actually not a bad case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the negative is important.
It's an honest case.
It's very important.
Yeah.
For example, if you're pro-Trump or if you were one of those people who's like, I wanted Trump to do X, Y, and Z, the common retort from the right is like, okay, dude, but Kamala's going to be 10 times worse. And you know what? They're not wrong. That's a fine enough case sometimes. I don't want to live that way, but that is true. And same true on the Israel issue. But then you should be saying that and not she's doing the best possible job that she can, because that's bullshit too.
Yeah.
And that's what actually bugs me the most.
I agree with all of that.
All right. Wow, long show today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We have plenty. We actually had to drop some stuff, so we're gonna have even more tomorrow.
We've already basically got a Tuesday show ready to go for tomorrow.
We'll see you then. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show. Help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.